The start of 2020 has been difficult for many Australians. The bushfire crisis, the floods, and look, we've just documented exactly what's going on, as we know, with the coronavirus outbreak as well. And in the studio, it's good to have Michael Croker from Chartered Accountants Australia. And look, we could all go doom, 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 doom. Is there any bright spark of news?
Well, I think we'll be reporting some good news from the government very soon with the stimulus package. We're looking for some sort of direct subsidies for affected industries. We're hoping for an investment allowance which will encourage not so much small business but actually big business, which have got deeper pockets to go out there and spend, and hopefully spend that money on small business suppliers, and to some extent some deferred time to pay taxes. So we'll see what the Treasurer and the Prime Minister come up with pretty soon. Speaking of good news,
first of all, when you look at what has been affected, travel, education, do you think because people are perhaps not travelling so much overseas, they're going to spend their money and time and travel inland, which is exactly, or around Australia, which is exactly what we need?
Well, that's the great hope, isn't it? Because if we rely on the politicians to solve this, a lot of people are saying, well, there's a limit to what they can do. This idea that as a community we support each other and we encourage resilience, not just in a business sense, but resilience in the sense of saying, well, you know, we can get through this and start getting out and about and spending money. Best thing for small business.
I always think of that line from The Sound of Music where a door closes, a window opens. And this is a unique opportunity for Australians to spend here, to invest here, like Janie's saying, like you've just been saying there. But that is what will help and move our economy forward. If we get out and just, rather than take that trip to overseas that you're going to take, go and spend a week in the country, enjoy it, wherever you are in the Great Southern Land. There's so many places to go to.
And many small businesses, as you know, have online shopping strategies now. We learned a lot from the bushfires. Those savvy business people in those bushfire-affected areas taught us a lot about online marketing, reaching out to new customers. But this is a supply chain issue too, so you've got to not only reach out to customers, you've got to try and find sources of supply. If you're over-reliant on, you know, Chinese factories or whatever to produce your goods, and, you know, looking out for alternative sources, networking with competitors even to say, look, can you help us out with some parts or whatever?
Or some toilet paper.
Ah, yeah.
That's another subject. Well, you've got to lighten the load a little bit. That's ridiculous what's gone on there.
The psychologists are coming out, though, aren't they, with this sense that this is what some people feel they can control, so they're trying to get some control back in their lives. But, you know, your media outlet and others have a really important role to try and educate Australians about the extent of it, the likelihood of it impacting many members of our society. And hopefully, you and the other media outlets will have good news about resilience in a health sense. You know, this idea that we hear more and more stories of Australians who may have got this, survived it, got back to work, you know, operating normally again. So that we need a lot of those good stories before people get confident.
We certainly do. I mean, it's, as you were saying before, it's about preparation, isn't it? But kind of not really knowing how to prepare for things. As you mentioned before, everyone's gone crazy getting all of the toilet paper, but we are hearing, you know, one of our reports today about the digitalisation of schools, having remote classrooms from home, and people obviously potentially being quarantined for a couple of weeks. But, I mean, we are really having to deal with this from not only in Australia situation, but we're seeing it worldwide with schools already shut down and the potential for the Olympics to be postponed. We're already seeing other events being postponed.
We'll expect a lot of demand. I'm pretty sure people will be challenged to say, look, what's your internet connections like at home? Can you work from home effectively? Do you need employers to help with, you know, a new laptop or an internet connection, or maybe a camera on the phone or on the computer so that you can do more Skyping or whatever? So keep in touch with the workplace, keep in touch with your clients. That sort of technology change, I think, is really important and will lead to some new outcomes even after this emergency's ended. It may change or, you know, create trends in work patterns which need to be fully explored, I think.
What's your advice to those managing their finances, whether they work for someone or they've got their own business, and there's been all these challenges at the start of the year, and, you know, it's uncharted territory, there's a sense of unease. What's your advice to people as they're handling their own economic situation at home?
Well, cash is king in these sorts of environments, so look at your cash flow. That's cash out the door, so this is where it gets a little bit doom and gloomish, you know. Your rents, can you talk to your landlords, your suppliers, can you look at your contracts and say, well, we have to adjust our contracts on, you know, forward purchases. Labour costs are always a high cost, and this is where the difficulty comes, because there are different stratas of workers in Australia, as you know. We've got employees, we've got contractors, we've got casuals, we've got people who are more easily, exposed to reduced hours or no work availability at all.
Yeah, but there's also a good opportunity, isn't there? Like for people, because money's cheap at the moment, the interest rates are low. It's a good opportunity for those that might have a little bit and they want to do the kitchen or they want to do the bathroom. You know, if you are in that position, why not do it? Because it helps you because the money's cheap, but it also helps the industry, and everything else flows on from stimulating at that even very small level.
Exactly right, and that always gets back to the consumer, to the citizens of this country, to say, please, please, please keep on spending money, keep on supporting your local businesses. And it's the same message, I think, right across the country. Because unlike the bushfires, we knew where the postcodes were, we knew where the fires were. This is trickling down through all segments of the economy all across Australia.
Unfortunately, though, the flip side for self-funded retirees, for example, who with not wanting the interest rates to be lower, but...
Well, that's a big fear for them, of course, and as an accountant, the risk for them is to not get sucked in, quite frankly, by over-the-top promises of great returns. You know, you can sense that there could be some spin doctors out there saying, well, invest in these riskier asset classes. Again, it's very, very important that they get good advice and be cautious.
Yeah, and a lot of people say the best advice at the moment is keep calm and carry on. And I think that's coming from government, and it's coming, you know, we have to do everything possible to, you know, be not irresponsible, but you also need to carry on and move forward.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Great pleasure.
Good to see you.